This podcast is a member of the Place to Be Nation family. Visit us at placetobenation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode number 40 of the Glenn Butler Podcast, Our Spectacular, where we're trying something a little different, or at least it's very different for me. We're going to be trying to focus on the positive for once in this world that is trying to tear us down. When I think of positivity, I think of my dear friend, the fantabulous Mr. Steve Wille. Steve, how are you doing today?
I am doing well. I'm surprised. I'm feeling positive, but I think that if you ask my family, no one would have that response to me, that I am the positive one in the family. So I'm glad that in the outside family world, I am the positive one.
Rays of sunshine are coming from you all the time, as far as I'm concerned.
Excellent. And rays of sunshine are coming outside today, which is a dear departure from our 2 weeks of gray. So that makes me positive in itself.
Well, there you go. So let's jump right in. Steve, tell me something good, please.
Excellent. I have something good that happened in the past month and has been going on for a couple of years, and it is a local story for me that I was turned on to by a national magazine called The Week That I Get, and it is something near and dear to our hearts, cats. And the headline from Green Bay Press-Gazette on September 20th, 2018 is Cat Grandpa Goes Viral. I popped my P's there. Shout out to Brad. Cat Grandpa goes viral after animal shelter shares photo of volunteer resting with cats. So a local man is taking cat naps to a whole new level. Terry Lauerman of De Pere has become an online sensation this week after the pet shelter where the volunteers shared photos showing the 75-year-old, who has since been dubbed the Cat Grandpa, fast asleep while snuggling several of the shelter's cats. I've always liked cats, and I always had cats when I was a kid, and I love them, he said. In many ways, I see my old cats in these cats here. Safe Haven Pet Sanctuary's Facebook post about Lauerman has garnered over 80,000 reactions and 22,000 shares since Tuesday afternoon, and those numbers continue to climb. And I will just start paraphrasing here, just taking a little bit. In just 4 days, they've been flooded with visitors and donations. They've raised more than $40,000, and its website temporarily crashed. They take in cats with special needs, and Lauerman's naps with the cats happen frequently. The owner said that she and other shelter staffers have been collecting photos of the touching moments for a while and finally decided they were too special not to share. The story behind the pictures of Lauerman's snuggle sessions make them all the more precious. Now he's an official volunteer at the shelter, but his visits started out more casually. He said that as he visited the original location, he fell in love with the cats and the fact that the facility doesn't cage its animals. And I should say that this is a no-kill shelter. His visit to the shelter became a daily thing after the nonprofit relocated to Green Bay's Broadway district in 2017, and Lauerman retired from his career as a Spanish instructor. Every Monday through Saturday, he swings by the shelter for 2 or 3 hours to visit the cats, pet them, feed them treats, and most importantly, brush them. Hauser considers Lauerman an expert of cat brusher who is helping socialize cats that desperately need it. This is my favorite part. He has this special brush, she said, laughing. And he is able to get cats that normally don't like to be touched to jump up on his lap and want to be held and brushed. He knows all of their names and all of their personalities. He said he has the best job in the world. He gets paid in cuddles. And the first time that it happened, he literally did nothing. He just fell asleep on a chair while petting. He is a 75-year-old man, so that is apt to happen. He said his now famous naps are typically the aftermath of cutting down buckthorn trees before heading to the shelter. So it's pretty cool. All the funds end up going to the cat's medical bills, food and litter, cleaning supplies, and hopefully a project to insulate the building.
That is amazing. That is fantastic.
Yes, this is a 75-year-old man, and there's tons of pictures on the Facebook page of this old man sleeping with the cats. There's one with the cat cuddled in between his legs from crotch to feet with his head on his thigh and the paw draped over the knee. It's pretty funny. So we'll definitely have to put the post on our webpage so people can see this wonderful old man who raised $40,000 in 4 days merely by napping.
Yeah, that is just amazing. Cat shelters are the best.
Yeah, we have a very large humane society in our town that unfortunately does have to kill some animals. It's just that big, and I know that the people who work there are crushed by it. But there are some smaller no-kill shelters, and hopefully that can happen more and more. And now I also know what I want to do when I retire.
And exactly, that is absolutely hashtag goals.
Like the cat cafes in Japan that are starting to make their way over to the United States.
Yeah, we have a cat cafe in New Haven, Connecticut that just opened a couple of months ago, and it is just the most relaxing environment possibly that there is.
Have you been able to go?
I went once. All but one or two of the cats were sleeping, but that was still an amazing experience. Because you just walk into this room and there are like 7 cats in the middle of the floor sleeping.
Man, so New Haven, now I know there's Cat Cafe, and I think it's Frank and Pepe's Pizza.
Yes.
And so
there's Pepe's Pizza and about 7 different colleges.
Okay, so you get some white clam, and you order it, have it delivered to the Cat Cafe, and really that's where I can live out the rest of my days.
Yeah, you get your coffee from the Cat Cafe, and like a couple of doors down from the Cat Cafe is one of those stores that sells like patches and pins. It's a college town. It's great.
Excellent. So yeah, positivity often starts with cats, as we know well here at Place to Be a Nation.
Oh, my cat is about the only thing that keeps me going some days.
So tell me something good, Glenn. What do you got for us?
The good thing that I have to bring is the This Old House cinematic universe. which I have recently finished. They're in the 40th season of This Old House, 16 seasons of Ask This Old House. I've been watching this for like the last 6 months or so, and it's just a relaxing thing to watch. I have been watching less and less drama recently. I've really found that the low-stakes television just really gets me a lot more relaxed than anything else, really. And for the This Old House family of products, I, of course, have the memories of watching it as a kid with my dad. It's actually about the best memories I have of spending time with my dad, because he was in construction, and so he watched it for, a reflection of a lot of the things that he did, and it was really the one window that I had into this thing that he loved and that he did for a lot of his life, and it's just a relaxing show to watch. Like I said, it's low stakes. They're installing heating systems and insulation and making overall areas of a house and such. It's just kind of a display of calm confidence and competence, really.
Is there any, with so many of the reality competitions, I know that This Old House isn't a competition, but there's anxiety involved, or my wife has wanted to watch some of the house flipping shows or the remodel shows, and there's manufactured drama, like, oh, we just tore down this wall and it's being eaten alive by termites, like they didn't know that when they bought it. Is there any of that? Or because I vaguely remember watching some of This Old House shows with my dad when I was younger, with Norm and is it Bob Vila?
Bob Vila was the host for the first 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, and Norm, only know him by first name.
Normie Baby. Normie Baby is the absolute best.
And is there that kind of manufactured anxiety as years go by to draw people back in, or is it still like PBS calm?
Oh, it's absolutely PBS calm. There's no anxiety about it. There are times when, they'll introduce a segment by saying that, they found termite damage, or the damage that they found goes deeper than they thought, or there was at least one house where they found termite damage and cleared out all of the wood that had been eaten away. And then a couple episodes later, an exterminator came by to remind them that, they really should have had the exterminator come through before they built up the new wall. And so we have to do all of this now. But there's no There's no drama about it. There's no anxiety about it. Everything that is a problem or a complication is just introduced plainly and calmly as something that needs to be fixed. We know how we're going to fix it. This is how we fix it. If this is a problem in your house, this is how you go about fixing it.
Excellent. And there's 40 seasons now.
They're in the 40th season right now.
And that doesn't actually seem crazy to me. That sounds about right. Like when you look past, and thinking that it's been on for that many years, and remember that, yeah, it is a part of our childhood. Has there been, first of all, how many episodes per season are there? Approximately.
Most seasons are 26 episodes.
Ooh. So we're talking about 1,000 episodes.
Oh yes, yes, it's an extreme number of episodes. Of course, they're about 22, 25-minute episodes, so they're kind of bite-sized.
What are the most you watched in one sitting? Or would that not be a positive thing to talk about?
The most I've watched in one sitting is probably about an entire season.
Excellent. I am I don't want to get too negative here because this is about being positive, but one of the negative things that I do with my evenings is just kind of get sucked into my phone, whether it be like on chats or just scrolling through Facebook or the news. And I feel like I need to do more of this kind of stuff, like just not necessarily binge shows, but actually spend a little bit more constructive time. And there are some shows that my family and I like to watch together. We watched American Ninja Warrior together, which same thing, not really much anxiety. It's more just like a sports competition, and there's uplifting stories, and everyone cheers each other on. And I'm realizing that these are all like American and British shows with America and British in the title. Like, of course, like the Great British Bake Off.
Oh man, we could do a whole thing on the Great British Bake Off. It is one of the very best shows.
Yes. Yeah, we've watched 2 seasons, and that is another show where there should be a lot of anxiety, but there really isn't. Everyone, there's just like a little time crunch. There's, was it Ruby, who had clearly some sort of self-esteem issue and panicked all the time, but for the most part, it's a very happy, calm show with a nice British sarcastic humor in it as well.
Yeah, it's incredibly different from the sort of baking and cooking competition shows that you get in the US, because there is the drama of the time element, but there isn't all this manufactured drama on top of it. There isn't the booming music or the host kind of yelling at everyone. Everyone is so supportive, even while they're competing. It's amazing.
Right. The most tension you'll get is when Paul Hollywood raises his eyebrow when he doesn't agree with the method you're using when they're presenting the recipes for the first time.
I mean, not that it isn't tense. I have been known to kind of yelp at points when someone like drops a pan as they're taking it out of the oven, or like time is running out and they're like furiously icing things, but it's wholesome. US cooking competition shows are not wholesome.
Yeah, there's a lot of yelling. Even on a show like Nailed It, which is tongue-in-cheek, the basis of the show is that the contestants are terrible at what they do. So yeah, it's another one my youngest and I have been watching in the mornings, and if we're talking about positives in our personal life, man, I'm popping the piece. Sorry. America's Got Talent, I had never watched before. And my son and I have like 20 minutes, 30 minutes before school most days during the week. And he really started watching that show. And so we'll just sit down and snuggle on the couch. And I would have thought it would be like an American Idol, like you stink type show, just putting people down. The people who are bad are clearly in on the joke. They know that, they're ringers. They're brought in to entertain the crowd and be dumb. But the positive stories, I probably cry at least 2 or 3 times an episode. Like, positive tears, not like cry about humanity. It's just like all of these uplifting stories, like, 13-year-olds with hard lives, and singing is all that they have, and it's just them and their mom, and then they just nail it, and the crowd gives them a standing ovation, and you can just see their self-esteem raise, right in front of you. Or, dance groups that there's a great dance troupe in this current season from the Philippines who they're just out there doing a dance routine, and Simon Cowell, who's wonderful on that show, is just like, seen this before. And all of a sudden they get out like Cher height heels, and all men, and they start doing like mega backflips landing on the heels, and it's amazing to see the athleticism, and the crowd embrace it, and my 7-year-old popping for it pretty big time. It's really an uplifting show that I didn't expect. So in terms of American non-PBS show or BBC shows, definitely one to look out for.
Awesome. Well, I think we are going to take a short break and listen to some descriptions of some shows on our fine podcast network. And then after the break, I will ask Steve for one more good thing. So come on back.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Owens Corning Fiberglass Corporation, manufacturers of residential building products.
PlayStation Nation's Justin Rosero and Chad Kimball here, and we want to let you know that we have a ton of great podcasts available to you on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, and PlayStation.com, and we now offer them to you on 2 great feeds. On the PlayStation Wrestling feed, we bring you The Mothership, the place to be podcast, Main Event, Survey Says, Wrestling Warzone, a Monday Night Wars podcast retrospective, No Holds Barred, Jeff Learns Wrestling, and our monthly pay-per-view reaction shows. On top of that, we're also dipping into the vault, re-releasing the entire catalog of where the big boys play for your enjoyment. And in addition to these full-length shows, we also deliver special network pod blasts on topics old and new.
The Place to Be Nation Pop feed is loaded with great content, offering such tremendous shows covering the land of pop culture, such as Geek and Sassy, Talkin' Pop, the Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, Sunday Groove, PTB in Play, Freak Out Drive-In, Songs with Friends, Looking Forward, Looking Back, and Lucha Undead, as well as a veritable podcast heaven for comics fans with the Hard Traveling Fanboys, Sellers Points, Conversation Comics, DC Post-Crisis Management, Marvel Age, and Marvel Age Masterclass, plus weekly pod blasts that cover the gamut of comic topics. The feed is also filled with insightful sports content, including the NBA team, This Week in the NFL, and more.
And you can find all these current shows, plus archives of our past podcasts, including The Kevin Kelly Show, as well by subscribing to both feeds on iTunes. And while there, be sure to rate and leave feedback as well. All of these shows, plus others available at PlayStation.com. We cover pro wrestling, sports, movies, comics, in-depth stretch projects, and more. Be sure to support our site by using PlayStation.com/Amazon while doing your online shopping. And download our free PTB Vintage Vault Refresh ebooks via the links on our site. We also want to thank our friends at Boneheads Wing Bar, ProWrestlingOnly.com, and TheHistoryOfWrestling.com. Be sure to follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Tumblr as well. PlayStation.com, the only place to be in your pop culture world.
And we are back talking about positivity, trying to focus on the positivity in our lives. Steve, tell me something else good.
Well, we're going to do one more, you said, and I have a choice for you. Would you like to have some grilled cheese, or would you like dental miracles?
I think if I have enough grilled cheese, I'll need some dental miracles.
So is that a grilled cheese then?
Sure.
Okay.
Sock it to me.
I am one who is very dismissive of people who denigrate various generations by putting them all into one big basket and saying this generation is awful, especially when it comes to millennials, which I am not. I am a member of Generation X, so really I shouldn't care about anything as I. But the headline here is from Bloomberg, and it's Millennials Kill Again. The latest victim, American cheese. American cheese will never die. It has too many preservatives, but it's melting away. One by one, America's food outlets are abandoning the century-old American staple. In many cases, they're replacing it with fancier cheeses. So on a previous Glenn Butler Podcast Hour Spectacular, we had a spectacular advised show where we talked about the various types of grilled cheese that we enjoy and best ways to make grilled cheese sandwiches from I think the question was posed by our good friend Andy Helene.
Yes, indeed.
So this article is basically saying that American cheese, the Kraft singles with the cellophane wrap, when you open it, you get that little plasticky taste on the edges as it molds to the plastic. And now they're saying it's at a crossroads. The product was made famous by the greatest generation, devoured by boomers on the go and touted as the basis for macaroni and cheese. It is the well-documented love object of Gen X. I beg to differ on that one. It's meant its match with millennials demanding nourishment from ingredients that are both recognizable and pronounceable. So apparently these terrible, awful millennials, these hunk 28, 30-year-old kids, they want to eat better cheese. I don't see how that's a bad thing, but it is. Don't rely on anecdotal evidence. It says the data shows that processed cheese like Kraft Singles and Velveeta. Did you ever have Velveeta when you were a kid?
Velveeta is actually among my favorite cheeses to melt into mashed potatoes.
Okay. I haven't seen it in years, but it was, I think it was like one of the things we would use to make mac and cheese. You'd unwrap the aluminum foil, get out the cheese slicer, and just take a blop of it, which I believe is a correct cooking term.
It's a scientific measurement, absolutely.
Yeah, you take a big blop and you put it in, and it melts wonderfully.
Yeah, that's the thing about American cheese and Velveeta, these highly processed cheeses. They do melt fantastically. I believe this was the crux of our argument in the advice hour.
Yes. But they have dropped in sale by 1.6%. So, this can be bad. 1.6%, not that much.
1.6%.
Yes, 4 straight years of declines. The other, and this is a flashback for me, when I was a kid and then also in high school, we took field trips down to the business portion of Chicago, like the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, which the Chicago Mercantile Exchange is if you took Wall Street, but made it for pig products and soy and cheese. So they do stocks in New York. Chicago does like hog futures. 500-pound barrels of cheddar right now are selling at a record discount to 40-pound cheddar blocks. So it's even cheaper. Like 500-pound barrels of cheddar are costing about as much as 40-pound cheddar blocks to purchase now because of the decrease. Yet cheese factories are on the rise. So despite this, because the American cheese are going down and these darned millennials want different kinds of cheeses, the number of factories have increased 40% between 2000 and 2017. So who says manufacturing is going down, Glenn Butler? The cheese industry is lifting us up.
I have a confession to make.
Okay.
I have a 2-part confession to make.
Uh-oh.
Part 1, of course, I am one of those damn dirty millennials. And
this is okay.
Thank you. And confession the second, I've been thinking in just the last couple of days that maybe I should move away from American cheese as my preferred burger cheese.
Yeah? Well, I have some new options that we never even explored before.
Really?
Gail V's Best Ever Grilled Cheese in Chicago, which is going to go on my list of places to go next time I'm in my homeland. Likes to take 2 slices of fresh baked sourdough and fills them with Wisconsin-made butter casse cheese, Butterk with an umlaut, SE cheese, made in small batches by farmers who know the name of their cows. It's melty, slightly stretchy, and yes, buttery.
Käse is German for cheese, so that's literally butter cheese.
Excellent.
Which, if you're gonna get one kind of cheese, it ought to be cheese. A real cheese is cheese. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Well, of course, being in the region that you are, in the upper Midwest, you have cheese choices for days, right?
We very much do. This sounds like sarcasm or like I was going to say cynicism, but more satire, I would say. But I do live about a mile and a half down the road from a cheese factory. So yes, we do have, I can probably pass, if I were to go to my sister's house about 45 minutes away, I would pass 3 cheese factories just on the 2 roads that I would have to drive.
Any cheesecake factories?
No, not only in Milwaukee and Madison. That's, big town.
Ah.
They're talking about Kraft trying to fight back against the cheese industry expanding, and it's not by offering different choices or better cheese. It's trying to research ways to get just the same old American cheese into more homes by offering qualities that healthier, more natural cheeses can't. So really, they're just manufacturing the fact that it can melt, and just wanting to look back and have at that nostalgia, going retro. So that is, a $1 billion company, 30-person research and development team, essentially saying to millennials, "Come on, guys, please, can you buy more than this?"
Okay, now, I'm not going to claim to be any sort of marketing genius, but
Yes.
I think maybe if you want people to buy and eat more of your cheese, you may make it taste better. I mean, I'm not going to criticize the taste, the feel of American cheese, the cheese of our lives, because I don't believe in that sort of food judgment. I also don't believe in the sort of chemical name fear complex
Sure.
that people have over the quote-unquote unpronounceable ingredients. Everything has ingredients that you can phrase in unpronounceable ways because everything is made up of, chemical elements. I don't understand the fear of, chemicals being named.
Right.
Rather than just an ingredient list that says cow stuff.
And they have names for a reason. It's just a combination of atoms and molecules. That's all.
Exactly. I mean, if you have issues with the amount of processing that goes into an American cheese or a Velveeta or whatever, fine, I get it. I mean, part of the reason that I was thinking of maybe giving it up is, tummy troubles. Mm-hmm. And if that's something that you get with certain cheeses, I get it. That's fine. But the unpronounceable chemical thing it gets my goat. But we're trying to stay positive.
Right. And goat cheese also can be good.
Goat stuff, yes.
Goat stuff, yep. We do have goat cheese in Wisconsin. It's not just all cows. Yeah, so a little build up on sad, I guess, that American cheese is going away. Positive that, hey, our taste buds are expanding. Cheese manufacturing on the rise. We're trying new things. No one is getting hurt. It's making us happy. And there's something called butter cheese.
Butter cheese does sound kind of amazing.
It sounds like a great subtitle to an episode, to be honest.
Well, I feel better. Do you feel better?
I do feel a little better. Like I said, the sun is shining in. We can find things in the news to make us happy, that fill us up with joy. And hey, by spending time with friends and real live adults talking about our joys makes us all feel better. And hopefully that people listening will decide to do the same in their life.
I can't think of a better way to close us out. Thank you very much, Steve, for sharing your positivity with me today. Listeners, I hope you feel a little better as we do. If you have something good that you want to tell us about, or if you would like to ask us an advice question for the Spectacular Advice Hour, I heartily encourage you to reach out to us at spectacularadvice@gmail.com. Steve, is there anything you're working on the Place to Be or on the internet, or a place that you would like to send our kind listeners?
Oh, sure. I have been working on The Main Event with Scott Criscolo and the Godfather Nate Milton on a bi-weekly basis. That's a fun wrestling show. They talk about some current stuff, and then we look into god-awful Impact Wrestling pay-per-views, and then switch that off with classic Japanese wrestling reviews, and it's just kind of a good time. I'm trying to think what else I do. You can find me on Instagram, Steve Wille, Wille, number 1, so Steve Wille 1, and I post odd things about maybe my family, myself, silly things that I'm doing with my life. And I find that it's a much better social media avenue than most in terms of being positive.
Yeah, pictures of family, pictures of cats, amazing
Yes.
American Ninja content.
Yes, I do have amazing American Ninja content that I carefully curate to make myself look somewhat good.
You look amazing. You look amazing. If anyone would like to reach me, I am at Glenny Bunn on Twitter, on Tumblr, on Instagram. Or you can listen to any of the other episodes of this podcast, of which there may be some soon. We shall see. Reach out to us. Thank you, Steve, again. Thank you, listeners, again. We will see you next time.